Good morning. Today is Friday, May 5th, 2017. Welcome to another episode of Trains Newswire Roundup. I am Steve Sweeney.
And I'm Brian Schmidt.
I'm glad you could join us today. Brian, you know, every week, and I even say this almost every week, it seems like at the beginning of the week there's not going to be a lot to talk about, but I think we got a lot to talk about. And first thing I want to talk about is Amtrak's avalanche of woes from over the weekend, last weekend.
Yes.
You know, we're going back almost, 5-6 days now, but, I even wrote them down. So delays on the Coast Starlight, the Southwest Chief, the City of New Orleans, and the Empire Builder.
Not just delays, but on the Coast Starlight annulment.
Yeah, absolute annulment.
Yeah.
I mean, so there was the UP derailment in Northern California, and bridge outage, which is going to be up to a month before it's completely repaired. So that's annulled the Coast Starlight. There's going to be bus substitutions in a few places, but basically the Coast Starlight isn't going to run.
Right.
Basically, and then up north in Idaho, there was derailment near Lake Ponderay. That means that the Empire Builder was delayed for a while, and then I heard word that there's going to be that there has been another derailment, but I'm trying to get confirmation on that on the UP. And then the City of New Orleans, because there's a lot of flooding and tornadoes and a whole bunch of stuff down in Missouri and Arkansas and Mississippi. And then the oddest thing I thought, the Southwest Chief, which almost is never delayed for weather, ran into a freak snowstorm.
Where at?
New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah.
I believe it was New Mexico, but it's
on Newswire.
The whole story is on Newswire, and I've got my notes in front of me, and who trusts your notes? But it's on Newswire anyway. Bad week for Amtrak across the country, at least in the like the middle to western 2/3 of the country. It's crazy stuff going on out there. Interesting story. We kind of have this as an exclusive from Bill Stevens. Canadian Pacific Pacific is the exclusive railroad providing service to a new potash mine in Canada. And potash is necessary for making lots of stuff. Don't quiz me on exactly what those things are, but it's really kind of cool because it's the first one they've opened in like 30 or 40 years. And CP did all this construction. They built a tunnel, they forded a river, they went through big river valleys, they moved millions of tons of earth, and it's just crazy for a 19-mile branch line that's going to one potash mine. See the full story on Newswire. We also have a high-res photo on that from Canadian Pacific, so that's pretty good. What's piqued your interest so far this week?
So TriMet, the Portland Oregon Transit Agency, is going to rebuild its Washington Park light rail stop. It's on the west of downtown. Yeah. It is the deepest transit station in North America. It's something like 260 feet below surface level. Wow. And it serves Washington Park has a Shay on display as well. But it serves the zoo and a couple other attractions out there. And you can learn more about Portland, I think, in our July map of the month. Transit Guide to Portland. So look for that and admire, if you ever get there, the depths of Washington Park.
So is that like a fallout shelter?
I guess it could be.
I guess it could be. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I think of weird things like that. So it could be fallout shelter. That's kind of cool. But it's not as deep as Moscow. I think Moscow still goes a mile underground.
No,
right?
There are still deeper ones elsewhere in the world, but this is the deepest in North America. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, story on Newswire. Texas State, the Texas State Railroad, their ongoing negotiations, discussions over who's going to be or what company is going to be the next operator for Texas State in Texas. It's not going to be Iowa Pacific. We have a Newswire story out that Iowa Pacific is officially out as the Texas State's potential operator. Their Texas State Railroad officials are dissatisfied with the proposed kiss and make up terms from Iowa Pacific, so they're out. Full story on Newswire. Did you see this? I think you saw this earlier this week. Dakota Southern had a diesel locomotive.
They do have diesel locomotives.
That was shooting enough sparks out to catch some prairie on fire.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. So it's rare that it happens. I mean, if you're not running steam locomotives, your chance of fire on the open plains is pretty low.
And they just got some new diesels, I think. Yeah. New to them diesels. In the past, Dakota Southern has been famous for running, Rock Island painted Elcos on a former Milwaukee Road line. And they famously have a UP Centennial, one of the DD40s, I think at Chamberlain by their shops and office. Right. They had originally bought it just as a giant fuel tank, basically, but it just kind of sits there today. It's still painted UP and all that. Yeah. Yeah.
So, unfortunate that they're in the news for this reason, but again, got the story on Newswire. Also, another cool story, interesting story. If you are dispirited because vandals or graffiti artists come and spread graffiti on railroad cars, you should thank a New Zealand steam preservationist who happened to be at the steam railroad in New Zealand, again, story on Newswire, when vandals came by, and he was able to fight them back with a shovel.
Clobbered one in the head with a shovel, yeah.
And a shovel.
Yeah.
They have yet to find the graffiti artists or vandals, but kudos to this gentleman down in New Zealand who actually won one for the railroads, I guess. And a steam railroad. Yeah.
You could say that,
so
yeah.
that's kind of neat. Oh, we talked a little bit about this thing with IRM. What's going on with that?
The Illinois Railway Museum is looking to raise funds, 50-something thousand, or is it a little more than that, to buy a Morristown and Erie Elko from New Jersey, which was originally a Toledo, Peoria, and Western at locomotive.
Right.
So that's the connection back to Illinois. So that would be would be pretty neat to see if they can pull this off.
They're going to get another locomotive?
They want to. Whether they do it remains to be seen, but they want to.
They have more locomotives than some railroads out there.
Well, yes, probably more than the Dakota Southern, yes. I would agree.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. Well, anyway, good luck to those guys. If they're going to raise the money and repatriate a locomotive to Illinois, it's kind of cool. Association of American Railroads, car loadings, coal is up, grain is up, automobiles are down.
Go buy new cars, people.
Yeah. If you want to see more automotive traffic, buy a new car.
Yeah.
Junk your old one, even if it's only a year old.
Yeah.
Go buy a new one. That's about all So we're following that. We're also following
Great Lakes Basin.
Great Lakes Basin. That was the other big story this week. It was sort of low key in how it came about. A new filing with the Surface Transportation Board. They had a deadline to make a filing with the Surface Transportation Board.
On Monday. It was Monday deadline, and they had it, yeah.
Yeah, and they just made it. So now they can proceed with discussions and environmental reviews of building a new, I guess you'd call it a belt. Would you call it a belt or would you call it a bypass?
You could call it either, I guess. It goes around.
Around Chicago.
Yeah.
So it would connect Illinois with Indiana and Wisconsin so that you never have to touch Chicago. But you'd been covering this for a long time.
I went to one of the meetings a couple years ago in Rochelle when the STB was trying to get public feedback on this as they're going through the permitting process. So it would be fascinating to see this be built, because not just a railroad bypass, but all the economic development that it would bring, and it would basically be I don't know how many miles long is it, industrial park. Kind of out in the boonies, and you just see all these new warehouses and light manufacturing, I think, pop up. And that's probably why it goes into Wisconsin, is to take advantage of businesses that want to be near Chicago, but not necessarily in Illinois. So while there isn't a lot of through traffic maybe off the Wisconsin and Southern, I could see more development taking place on the north end of the line.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Now, officially, Class 1 railroads are not saying much about this. The few that have come out publicly, I think Norfolk Southern Union Pacific, say they don't want to be part of it, and there are a lot of communities along the proposed route that say they don't want it anywhere near their communities or cornfields or schools and churches and cemeteries. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. We hear on back channels that, secretly the railroads would use it if and when it ever came to pass, but that remains to be seen. So we got these stories out of 49 stories. We got 49 stories on Newswire so far today. We've got more to come. Keep checking back on Newswire. If you have news tips, low-res photos you'd like to share with us that maybe we could use on Newswire, if you got video clips that are on YouTube or some other legitimate news site or legitimate video site, sharing site, send them to us at newswire@trainsmag.com. That's an email address, newswire@trainsmag.com, and we'll be glad to take a look and see if we can share it with the rest of our audience. For everyone at Trains Magazine, we hope you have a great weekend.
The drama of modern railroading is nowhere more apparent than in Chicago. Trains Magazine takes you along for an up-to-date look at the Windy City's railroad scene with its new 60-minute DVD and special issue, Chicago, America's Railroad Capital. You will see today's passenger and freight operations in urban landscapes and bright suburban locations, as well as a look at the development of the city's rail network. Both are available January 2017 at KalmbachHobbyStore.com.